Welcome to the first episode of The Golden Hour. I'm Kelly Woodman.
And I'm Leah Catherine Williams.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
Yes, thank you so much. We are super excited to launch this show. And thank you, viewer, for watching this first episode. It's really special to us. I've actually dreamt of being a broadcast journalist since I was in high school. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, my degree was in mass communications, and I've always loved TV news. So this is definitely a dream come true.
Oh, well, it's my dream too. And I'm glad to be doing this with you.
I know.
Oh my gosh. Well, Kelly, would you like to share with the audience the inspiration for the name?
Yeah, so, when we were brainstorming, we obviously wanted it to sound newsy, but our goal is for it to be really hopeful. So I kept trying to think of hopeful things, and I just couldn't stop thinking about a sunset. So that made me think of the golden hour.
I love it. It's so perfect. Yeah, it's our goal for the show to highlight, well, the good in the world, the good the businesses are doing in the world, the good the nonprofits are doing, the good individual entrepreneurs are doing to change the world. That's the goal.
Exactly. And in today's show, we're talking about hope and employment.
Well, what do we mean by that? Well, we are obviously glass half full kind of people. And, we know it's been an unprecedented year for everyone. I mean, gosh, hashtag 2020. I think we're ready for this year to be over. I'm probably going to burn my mask, maybe do a giant bonfire of my mask. You want to join us, viewers? I'm serious. But, but in that, we have found that there's so much hope when we turned off all the gloom and doom, news.
Yep.
We're not trashing other news sources, but when we turn that off, we started looking around us and we're like, wow, we're actually getting through this. It's not
people are
easy.
Finding new ways to grow and advance. That's what people do.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to highlight that.
Yes. So, that's what we just really wanted to do with this show. And we came up with it together and we were like, you know what, let's do this. Why not? I feel like 2020 is the best year to launch something like this. So we hope that we are providing something for you to just show you that there's another storyline. It's not horrible. It's actually pretty great because you know what? We're all working together and we're all trying to fix these problems together. And that's why we wanted to start the show.
Yep.
But so back to the employment, that's our focus for this first episode. We thought that starting with something about employment, since that's such a huge need right now, to talk about the people who are actually helping others get jobs, also helping employers find the best employee too. And so we found some pretty special people to interview.
Yep.
Well, with that, Kelly is our resident investigative journalist and researcher, and I asked her to look up some statistics about what's actually happening as far as where we are in employment. Are we better? Are we worse? Kelly, would you like to share what you found?
Yeah. So since March, so many people lost their jobs. But did you know that according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the United States economy has added 9.3 million new jobs just in the past 3 months? This has made the unemployment rate go from 14.7% down to 10.2%. The unprecedented shutdown caused quite a blow to the economy, but the economy is bouncing back faster than we predicted as well.
And today we are interviewing two sides of the employment spectrum. Like I mentioned before, we've got Allison Merrill. She is a career coach, all-around employment specialist. She really helps people find jobs and works with what you have and helps you improve your resume. We also have Darius Foster. He's a good friend of mine as well, and he runs a company called H2T Digital, and he helps employers find the right candidate, which is also really hard right now because I don't know if you look at LinkedIn very often, but sometimes they have up to 525 applicants for one job. I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like to have to sift through all those things. So both interviews talk about those things, and there's a lot more to sifting through those applicants than you realize, and how to get noticed as, maybe the 525th applicant to how do you even pick out that person? And there's a lot that goes into it. So we really want to dig into that as well. So we hope this offers you some hope. If you know of somebody that's looking for a job, I'm sure if you can count on one hand, you probably know like 3 people at least, because this has just been such a hard year. So we encourage you to share this episode with friends that might be looking for work and need some advice. Also, if you're an employer and you need advice for how to find the right candidate, Darius is going to be able to offer that as well. So we're really excited to have them on our show and just really offer you guys some hope. So anyway, now to the interviews. Hey everybody, I am so excited to welcome our next guest, Allison Merrill. She is a career coach and founder of Allison Merrill Consulting. She helps people find jobs. Allison, thanks so much for being on our show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first off, I would love to hear a little bit more about what you do and the kind of clients you work with.
Absolutely. So I work with clients across the board, whether you are still in college looking for your very first job or internship, ready to make your first career change, or you're later in your career and you just need a pivot. You realize the role that you're doing isn't what you want, the industry is not what you want, and going from there of what your next step looks like. And I work with clients to do everything from coaching and actually looking for what roles are available to resume review, revamping your LinkedIn profile, preparing for those interviews as they come up, and everything in between.
Wow. Well, this is such a vital time for people to work with someone like you because there's just so many applicants and so many jobs. And that's precisely where I wanted to interview you, because I know that you probably have some handy dandy tools and tips that people may not know about. And so I really love to kind of hear, not giving away your whole business. Obviously you want to keep some things to be desired because I want people to hire you too. But what are some tips people can know about when they're just submitting something to say, if companies are using Workday, it's a sourcing for jobs, or any other platform? I'd love to hear how you can get noticed through that.
Sure. So nowadays, almost every single company is using an ATS, or an applicant tracking system, and that you would see which one they're using when you're taken to the application page. So Workday is one, like you mentioned, Greenhouse, Taleo, SuccessFactors. These are all ways that internally they're able to keep all the candidates in one place under each different job requisition. And so when you're applying, typically you think, I want to have a really beautiful, flashy resume. And you might have even worked with somebody who helped you make that beautiful, flashy resume. It's a PDF, it might have graphics or text boxes. And what people don't realize is these applicant tracking systems now use a lot of AI to parse your resume and pull out keywords that they have entered, which helps them from going through, 100 resumes per role. Instead, they're saying, these are the keywords I'm looking for. Now I'm looking to the technology to show me who the best candidates are. What candidates don't realize is 75% of resumes now across the board aren't even seen by a human, which is terrifying, but not if you're doing it correctly. So what could be as simple as the hiring manager wanted to look for somebody with supervising experience, and on your resume you put managing experience. Now those aren't aligning, and it might not recognize that you're as qualified as you really are, and you might not get in front of the recruiter. So being able to look at your resume against every single role that you're applying for, which is very time consuming, and making sure, are you using the same verb tense as the job posting lists? Are you using the same kind of keywords? Are you describing your experience in the same way that they describe it in the job posting will help get that seen. Additionally, making sure those keywords are on your resume in some place, picking out what are the top keywords from that posting and making sure they're reflected somewhere on your resume, and then not having a flashy PDF. So you don't want text boxes. You don't want anything that could be difficult for the system to understand. So that might be just going back to a boring Word format. You still want it to be easy to read and clear, nice spacing, still visually appealing, but less fancy.
Interesting. Wow. Well, I learned something right there. I've definitely flashy resumes, and I had to go back and redo all of the resumes and, put in the actual text, which I'm more of a graphic designer, so that kind of hurt me a little bit having to do that. But it sounds kind of like search engine optimization, but in your world. Yeah.
For sure. Mm-hmm.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'd love our audience to kind of hear your background and how you even got into this.
Of course. So I spent several years in the corporate recruiting side, working internally at a financial services company and working with clients across the board in all different facets of roles, from sales and marketing to engineering and IT to trading and investment management. And I loved working with candidates. I loved helping them find jobs that they were excited about. But what I really had a hard time with was not being able to give candidates feedback that seemed to be struggling in their search. So I was representing the employer side, and after leaving that position, decided I want to work with the candidates to help them be successful in this search. And that was a really huge change for me, to be able to be really transparent with candidates and coach them through interviews and be able to share the expertise that I had learned, that if you're not in the industry, you probably don't even realize, just like the resume pieces. So that was something that was really rewarding to me, and it's been really amazing since launching. I've had several prior candidates and people I've worked with in my career just reach out and go, oh my gosh, now that you're doing your own thing, I have to work with you, or I have to refer my friend to you who's struggling. And being able to feel like you're really helping somebody see what is next for them, especially during a time like this where it's a really difficult time to be looking for a job. And it's led a lot of people, especially who were furloughed or laid off, to realize I wasn't doing what I wanted to be doing anyway. And now that I have this time, I can think about what I really do want to be doing next. It's kind of like flying the plane while you're building it, because you need a job right now to help pay your bills, but you want to be doing something different that you enjoy more. And so working with candidates on just sort of that soul searching and looking internally of what do I want to be doing? What will I feel is rewarding to me? And then helping them get there. So it's been a really great experience so far.
Well, before we close, I'd love to hear if you have any extra tips, or maybe if there's any, industry people should be looking for right now, as far as like who's hiring, and, if that's something that you could share as well.
Sure. So right now there is a plethora of customer service and customer success positions. That's a really transferable skill set. Anything really that has been people oriented, you can now pivot and do these remote customer success or customer service positions. And because everyone's at home, they're remote roles, and they're great opportunities that you can do across so many different industries right now. I think the biggest tip I have is don't lose hope. It's super frustrating right now. It's super frustrating when you read a job and you know that you are 100% qualified and you're still getting declined, and you don't know why, and you're not getting any additional details. My best piece of advice there is, if they aren't sending it from a no reply email, if they're sending it from a real person, follow up. See if they have any advice that they can give you, if they can give you any additional reasoning on why you weren't selected. Keep in touch with them, add them on LinkedIn, show them how interested you are in working for their company, reach out to them, stay in touch with them. That sets you apart and just keeps you top of mind in the process. And that can be so important. It's not because you're not qualified. It's because there just happen to also be 200 other really qualified people that are also looking for roles right now. And that's really difficult. You don't know. Sometimes it really could come down to a tiny little thing if they're looking at so many qualified people across the board that are the same. So how do you humanize yourself beyond just your resume and stand out in their mind? And I encourage you to get creative. Email them, add them on LinkedIn, send them messages, set yourself apart and make yourself memorable so that they can't ignore your resume.
Wow, that is such great advice. I'm excited about going on LinkedIn myself and just connect with people, more for the show, but that's great advice. Well, thank you so much for sharing free advice with our viewers, and putting the the link for your company on this episode as well, so people can reach out and hire you to help them find a job.
Perfect. And I do LinkedIn revamps as well. So if you get stuck trying to redo your profile, don't hesitate to reach out.
All right. Well, audience, you heard it first. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, that was great. I really enjoyed talking to Allison. There was some stuff she talked about in there that I had no idea about. I didn't know that when you're applying for jobs, it's basically a robot that sees your resume first, not a person. And, we know there's a person at the end of that, but you got to get past the robot. So there's a lot of strategy involved in actually getting seen. So we hope that interview helped you guys kind of weed through the weeds and understanding. Even she mentioned in the interview, if you write down you have supervising experience, but in the application they need you to have management experience, those can not work together.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So
that's crazy.
Anyway, I really enjoyed talking to her, and I felt pretty educated. Hopefully this is our full-time job soon, so we don't have to look for jobs, but for now it's really good to have that information and to pass on to people as well. Yeah, so anyway, let's go to our next interview with Darius and to talk about H2T Digital. Yeah,
let's do it.
All right. Hey everybody, we are here with Darius Foster, co-founder and CEO of H2T Digital. Darius, thanks for being on our show.
Thank you for having me.
Well, to start off, can you share with our audience a little bit more about what you do?
Yes, ma'am. As far as H2T Digital, we are a software company. We're classified as ed tech, that we really land in workforce development, which is helping people determine what career paths to take and for placing them in jobs. So we have we've created 2 assessments that give you the user the results that we call their vocational DNA. And then that kind of directs them toward employers for careers, for jobs.
Well, with that, I'd love to hear a backstory about your life and how you got to where you are today. And anyway, yeah, take it away.
So I'm from Birmingham, Alabama, specifically the north side of Birmingham. I attended Miles College undergrad here in Birmingham or Fairfield. From there, I went into finance. I was recruited out of Miles with a large company into finance. And parallel to that, I was very actively politically. We won't get into all that. That's probably another interview for that one. But I got very active politically, and parallel to that, I was able to get appointed to the Alabama Commission on Higher Education. And so as I'm working in corporate, and I left the finance company, went into some consulting, and then from there I went to work for an ed tech company called Imagine Learning. And so once I got to the ed tech company, and parallel to being a higher ed commissioner, I saw an opportunity for career fit, a better career fit, or better job fit for individuals in workforce development. And from there, I put together a business plan. I'm really oversimplifying it, but I put together a business plan and 2 partners, and we were able to raise a seed round or angel round and start the company. And so that is a very 1-minute summary of a 10-year journey.
Well, with that, I know you mentioned that you work with about 3 different kinds of clients. I'd love our audience to hear more of an expansive view of that so they can see how they fit into what you do.
Our clients, one would be academia, high schools, because our career fit program is something that they're starting to take that assessment first before they begin any kind of workforce training in high school. So therefore, it's data-driven training. It's not a quick 5-minute, Likert scale. It's 1 to 10, how much do you like this? 1 to 10, how much do you like that? So high school and for colleges, they're starting to take our career fit assessment for their undeclared major students and those who may be seeming like they're struggling to pick a major or find a passion. So career fit is also used for that as well. So academia is one client. The second client would be employers. And so that's for our job fit product. They would let us know what occupational job they're hiring for. When they do that, we put that in our database, and there's a predetermined set of skills, abilities, and different other context elements that we have determined to set a benchmark, and then we assess their candidates, and we rank their candidates based upon those things. And they appreciate that, because that's the most difficult piece, is narrowing down who to take serious. And we do that in a way that's objective, not subjective or prejudicial at all. So that's been the growing, the most fastest growing product for us is probably Job Fit. And the last customer, which we're just starting to touch and interact with, is the local governments and counties. If you have enough career fit and job fit data in your county, then we can begin to create what we call an economic interest report, which is you having the interest and skills and abilities reliably of, critical mass of your citizenry. And you're able to align that with BLS data and economic data, and begin to include your citizens' interest and capacity in that process of economic development. So that is starting to take off for us. So in a summary, academia, employers, and governments.
All right, well, going to the next question I have, I would love to hear where you are now. I know that you've come a long way really shortly, and I'd love to kind of hear, what you are right now, 2020.
We are just large enough, we're just further enough along to for acquisition, but trying to get to the point to where we are appealing to investment. Right now, we have customers, we're growing. We're past proof of concept. We're starting to see people enjoy the product, and employers starting to buy the product as well. And now, we're thinking and praying through scaling. What does scale look like? How do we scale faster? And so that's where we are right now in the company.
Well, speaking of 2020, as we all know what this year means to everyone, what's been your dealings with, I guess, COVID this year? Has it decreased your business? Has it increased your business? I'd love to hear more.
The pandemic has propelled our business because employers are looking for employees that fit. So before it was a candidate's market, now it's absolutely an employer's market. And so they're able, and they want to have fit without subjectivity, and we provide that. And so COVID has really helped us, and it's tough, because you don't want it to be at people's expense, but it has helped us greatly as a company.
Well, I love to hear that. That's just good news all around, and that's what we're about, good news. So I'm glad to hear that your business has increased this year. All right, it's awesome. So to close, I would love to hear if you have any last words or piece of advice or anything you'd like to say to the people watching this show.
First of all, I want to shout out to the Southeast region, particularly Alabama. There are entrepreneurs thriving down here in the Deep South. So I wanted to give a shout out to the Southeastern tech engine. Our companies are, again, it's H2T Digital. The website is H2, the number 2, like behind me, tdigital.com. And I'm also on LinkedIn as well, Darius Foster. It may be Darius F on there. Please connect with me. I'm an open book. I want everybody to succeed, and thank you for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for being our guest. Audience, thanks so much for watching. And as you saw, we put the link to his website and his LinkedIn in the previous clip. And you can also check out the website. We have a corresponding article with his interview. And if you are an employer, you're a school, if you're a university, if you are government, basically, if you need his help, we recommend you call him up. All right. Thanks, guys. Well, that was really informative. I had no idea that employers had such a hard time finding the right candidate.
I had no idea. I would have never thought about it. I've never been on that end of the spectrum before.
Mm-hmm. And, it's such a need as well with what he's doing. He helps high schoolers, middle schoolers, governments, colleges, because finding the right job. We were just talking about how it was our dream to do this since we were young.
Yep.
And it would have been so helpful to have somebody guide us out of that.
I had no idea how to pursue that at all.
Yeah. So
What he's doing is great. I love
Yeah.
it.
Well, on to our next episode introduction. We are going to be talking about human trafficking, which will come out next week. We decided going into this show that we wanted to do different topics for each episode. So some episodes are going to have like a more serious tone, like human trafficking and other things we want to talk about. Some episodes are going to have a lighter theme. But with that, we always want to leave you guys with hope. We don't want to just say a scary statistic and leave it there and say, oh, there's no hope. Nobody's fixing the problem.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
so
totally.
That's our goal.
Relevant news that leaves you with hope.
Exactly.
So yeah, our next show is, we got some great people coming up. Quite a wide range of what they do. So I'm not going to say too much because I want you to come back. So thank you guys so much for tuning in to our first show. It was a blast. We had so much fun. I hope you guys love it.
Yeah, well, we loved talking to you. So thank you for tuning in.